Hello and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures, where I'll mostly be talking about my trip to Belgium to cause a crisis. Uh, the TLDR, if you don't want to watch the whole video, is that I had a great weekend and it was well worth going, and I will be going again next year, and hopefully I might be taking some people along with me. The journey was a little bit epic in length, and I didn't arrive in Antwerp till after 11 o'clock at night, and pretty much crashed out. Following day, I did some reconnaissance, and the Saturday was um, crisis, and followed by a day of recovering, which would have been doing more shopping and exploring Antwerp. Unfortunately, we had an incident on Friday led to my card being blocked, which meant all I could do was sit in the hotel and read the books that young Sander had very kindly let me have on credit until I got home and could sort the bank issues out. I'll be showing you those later. They're not everything I would have got, but I was being a little bit careful considering that I wasn't entirely sure what the hell was going on with the bank. They said it was a potential fraud issue, but it's always possible I could have spent more money than I thought, or there might have been not money in the account. So, and I came back an equally epic journey on at the crack of dawn on Monday, and I got back into home to the Alpha site round about 5 o'clock. At which point I relaxed a little bit, had a bottle of beer, and it was suddenly 4 o'clock the following morning when I started catching up with things. I think I've caught up with everything. If I haven't, please shout at me and I'll fix it. But I'm home, not doing this again till next year. Potentially, might be planning to go over and do the Nijmegen marches because they would be good for me, and I am somewhat unfit and I need to be more mobile. Also, started to organise a potential dog, but that's going to require a lot of work at the house. Took this over. Probably the most useless, well, the second most useless book I've ever bought. The most useless book I bought is the French equivalent, because the area of Belgium I went to is Flemish speaking, and everything is anyway in 3 languages, and English is often one of them. I know German's an official language in Belgium, but I was well into the Flemish area at the point. This thing got produced a couple of times, and very nice Belgian people looked at a very confused, obviously foreigner, and decided that he probably spoke English, so they would use their better English than mine to speak to him. Did a lot of wandering around and doing sort of recce with that. I have a tourist map of Antwerp and all sorts of places I want to visit next year when I know I can afford to pay the universal ticket for getting into them, and I've had a chance to explore the map and work out where things are. It was very hard to get a tourist map in advance. It was very hard to get any sort of ordnance survey or any of the other sorts of navigation maps that I'd be useful. You were stuck with Google Maps at best, and Google Maps are designed for drivers, not for pedestrians. At least that's my experience. So something like an old-fashioned A to Z would have been really useful, but they're not available anymore because nobody uses them, allegedly. Anyway, getting back to what went on at Crisis, I wandered around the show. Pictures will follow, and I also took a peripheral part in the great May 40 bolt action all-day game, which went on from opening time to closing time, and was a general participation event. I didn't participate beyond being the person that drew the dice out, I was dragged into that because by about 2:30 in the afternoon, the poor old legs were complaining. Following day, there was a trench crusade tournament event, which I would like to go, have gone and taken pictures of. However, I was in Antwerp and I really didn't want to risk my other card being stopped for fraudulent purposes travelling on the railway or any other place, because I desperately needed to buy one local ticket to get me back to Brussels and to catch the Eurostar. Once I hit the UK, I'd then probably be able to get away with using my ordinary card, even if and I could unblock it if it hadn't been stopped. But it's very difficult to phone the UK and talk to people to unblock stuff when you haven't got half the information with you, because you weren't expecting it to happen. So risks were not taken. I didn't go to the French Crusade event, and I spent the day in the off day, Sunday, reading books, and I got a couple of good ones. I got What a Tanker, which is one of the Lardy rules I didn't have previously, and it looks a lot of fun. I've had a good read of it. I think I know how it works. I need to get some tank models, appropriate tank models, and then I need to get some victims. There will be people I have in mind as victims, and well, I'm going to be playing What a Tanker at some point for probably several games, might be a campaign. I can see if I can get some, probably either with 15 or probably the 15mm tanks or 20mm tanks, but because the 20mm tanks would have dual use, whereas the 15mm tanks, I don't paint 15mm infantry anymore. But that was a good thing. Did the quick that. I did a lot of reading of this. Now, I bought the hardback rulebook. I didn't buy the starter set because I was concerned about customs. So much more hands on me. This I did a lot of reading. This is what I was spending most of my time sitting in my hotel room, trapped in my hotel room reading, and I'm thinking of creating a. I'm definitely going to be creating some 500 point retinues for that. I'm thinking about backdating it to the Anarchy, which was a similarly an earlier civil war, which had a lot of the similar features in that individual people took sides, and when they were taking sides, there were small scale fights of the sort between retinues or between groups of retinues who were partisans for one or the other, either King Stephen or the Empress Matilda, who fancied herself effectively as the first Norman queen. For the Anarchy, I'd probably use Victric stuff, as it had a very Norman look, it only being 1060, about 3 generations after Hastings. So you'd be looking at First, Second Crusade looking people, and you'd be looking at a very Norman appearance with a few later end things, and the Victrix stuff is really nice, and I basically want an excuse to build some armies out of it, some small armies, because I think the armies are likely to be 30 odd figures, 30, maybe 35 figures. But I'm going to be using Wargaming Atlantic stuff for the actual Barons War period, possibly with a few bits and pieces of the Fireforge, which are set at the same period, or pretty much so. That's the intent there, and I also intend, after I've done some playtest stuff, to be putting warbands up, or putting retinues up on the Etsy shop, which really could do with a bit more love and a few Google ads to promote it a little bit, because it rather went into hiatus while I was ill this time last year, and I need to get back working and doing stuff and all the other things I'm doing. But Barons War is extraordinarily good. I read the first edition, and this does the same thing, but is so much more polished and mostly wargamer proof. It's not a competition game. It's not going to get the sort of people who are going to try and break the meta or form a meta, but it's going to be a good fun game that I can have at the 2 local wargames clubs. And given that they're plastic figures, they're going to be light enough for me to trud around the country with them. This is the bonus thing if you're carrying them in boxes in a wheelie trolley. Other things that happened, we got presents. This is the goodie bag that was given to everybody who took part in the so much more handsome than me in the bolt action game at any level. As I say, I was only drawing order dice and passing them off to the leaders and generally chivvying people along to actually make a bloody decision to what they were doing, because I am not the most patient of people. As I say, it's a little tatty because I managed. This has been stuffed in a suitcase. This was one of the things that I had to break into the suit, pick the lock to get at. The other thing I'll be showing you later. Now, I've not opened this. A couple of bits have fallen out as I was moving it around, but this is pretty much as it got, but less battered. So let's have a look what's in it. Right, let me put my glasses on so I can see what's in it, because whilst I'm a painter, I'm also partially sighted, or seeming and increasingly blind. Right, so let's stick my hand in the goodie bag for the first thing. We have some Gamers Grass Tufts, which I really like. I think these are the I don't know what those are. They're fairly short. I'd like. Oh, there they are. As I say, that's one of them. If I catch the light, because I've got the lighting thing over here. A little thing about Gamers Grass, which I already know about and like. More stuff. Great Escape Games, which send the stocks, and which again I would have bought stuff from had I A, had the money, and B, not been concerned about people banging me, being charged VAT at the other end. Customs, as it happens, wasn't a problem, but knowing my luck and the various other things that have gone on, getting stopped by more Gamers Grass, and I really need to learn how to build those because I've got some alien tufts somewhere, but more lovely Gamers Grass stuff. A lot of promo stuff in here, but we also have some May 1940s miniatures. Now let's have a look and see what those are. I'll put that down for a minute. I think they might be SS, in which case if they are SS, now that's his address. They might have doubled the number of SS troops I own. Because I'm not one of those World War II wargamers who likes his. No, they're paratroops. I think they're paratroops. I think they might be paratroops. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they're paratroops. They're paratroops. I am not sure what those round things are. I'd have to look up the key code, but they're absolutely exquisite sculpts from May 40. Yeah, machine gun. Oh, they're machine gun. Right, they're ammo things. Some machine guns. That's mine. As I say, I will be faffing around with those later, but I have got other painting stuff to do. But those look really nice, and I will put those back in there. What have we got? We've got machine gunner. That's a machine gunner because he's got the ammo belt, as you can probably see. We've got another machine ammo carrier, but he's got a rifle, so Possibly the guys. I'm not entirely sure what all these are. Right. Let's say I'm going to have to look this up on the May 40 website, which is a really nice website. It's a bit too phone adapted for my liking because I don't like things that scroll down, but I will be looking up and posting what these are when I get a moment, which will probably be tomorrow morning at this point, because I've had a bit of a day of it and I will probably be retiring after I've posted a teaser post for this. And then we have a Strauss's hero who's an American, and I pretty much, this is probably the only American figure I own, because the Americans, as you probably know, arrived in both World Wars fashionably late, and I tend to prefer the early side of the war rather than the later part of both wars. I like the manoeuvre period of 1914 and the Blitzkrieg period of World War II, when you got all of what are dismissively called the minor powers involved, and they were all using their own kit rather than, as they did later on, because they weren't knocked out of the war, British and American mix kit. It's, adds a little bit more variety, and it's always nice to see a German player who is scared of British tanks, because there is nothing so terrifying as a Matilda to a Panzer III, especially when you shoot it and you hit the front armour and the resounding clang is heard as it bounces off, and that 2-pounder would go straight through most of the German tanks at that point. A 40mm gun was scary. Same thing happened with the French tanks, which, while they weren't very well used, were very good. As far as combat was concerned, the big heavy ones had fuel issues because they used to eat it like it was going out of fashion, and I believe a lot of them got knocked out due to being abandoned by the crew because the thing had run out of petrol. Very Road to Kiev, Russian styly stuff. I am run out of coffee. Oh, that's terrible. Run out of coffee and I can't go and get more. So I'm going to have to resort to cold caffeine, which was what I got to wake myself up this morning. If I go washed out, it's because I'm going under the lights, and the lights are the painting lights, because I'm going to be painting and modelling, and I want something where I can be seen, and then I can sit and paint the model. I might get another camera for looking down, so we can get dual camera, but that would have to be edited and spliced together, and I would have to be nice to my editor. And on the subject of being nice to my editor, can we please get 500 subscribers and enough view time to get this channel monetized, because I would really like to be paying my editor. He's a nice chap and he's volunteering. He volunteered his services and he's been very supportive with a few things I have actually asked him for, and a few quick pennies going his way would be quite good. I don't need the money. Well, I don't. And if I used it, it would be for buying stuff to show on the channel, to model on the channel, and to make the channel better, like the second camera, which I'm going to have to work out whether I can use 2 cameras at the same time on the same computer. I'm sure you can, but again, it would be nice to have multiple views and stitch things together. Because you can see a talking head and you can see a modelling thing, and you can have them specifically set up for doing it rather than me fiddling about changing camera angles. Anyway, more about Crisis. I also found a very nice gentleman who did tools. I don't have his tools, and I bought a very necessary jeweler saw and a selection of blades because somebody who we will call Igor borrowed my saw and proceeded to, well, he didn't destroy it, but my saw now, my jeweler saw, which I must admit wasn't a particularly good one because I don't use them very often, and so why invest in something that costs a fortune if you're not going to use it a great deal? And it was mostly designed, it was mostly for plastic and that sort of thing. Managed to put a ripple down the blade. So instead of it being sort of half a mil thick or quarter of a mil thick, it behaves more like a ripsaw because he went at it like a maniac because he does that, and he's been meaning to replace it for some time, and I finally bought another one. It's one of the ones with a craft handle and exchangeable saw, and it's, I must say, much better than the one I had. But I'm probably over egging the pudding, given how much I use it. But I've missed it because when you haven't got it, you suddenly discover there are lots of things that you need to do with it, and I've got some stuff to convert, which will involve sawing arms off and sticking on different arms. Will involve arm swaps. And there are also some nice CP miniature stuff that I've already got that's sitting somewhere around here. Again, I need to tidy this office up. I need to clean my workshop. I need to get everything organised. Too much time to do, and I can't get amphetamine tablets, so I can't be awake 48 hours a day, as one might wish. The other interesting and stuff that came from Crisis, I will be talking about in another video. The picture of it will be going up in the teaser, which I will post tomorrow morning, but it will probably be the most boring one because it's a plastic bag with plastic bags in it with grey stuff in it. But as a teaser here, it's actually the metal from the KNLI Kickstarter, which I picked up at Crisis. I also saw some of Sander's really nicely painted KNLI and realised a horrible truth. When I painted mine, I'd used Osprey's little reference book on the minor powers in the Far East. I'd also used various Google searches because I didn't have any reference material and I need to get stuff painted quickly because Sander quite a flyby posted me while he was in the UK briefly a little package, and I just wanted to get them up and painted. And I made a bit of it. I looked at the pictures and I made a bit of a guess about colours. Having dodged all the colorized ones, which are, remember, colorized stuff is always the wrong color, or often is. So I really, really, really don't like colorized stuff. It's annoying. But anyway, more caffeine. And yes, I eat and drink on stream. Well, I drink anyway on stream because it's one of the few things that keeps me functional. Not alcoholic as well. It's only other people's streams I drink on when I get my cam. But I'm not watching those at the moment because you need a television license, and I am again not up to that financially at the minute. It would be nice if after I've paid my editor, I could use this to pay for the television license, which would allow me to do active live streams. This, by the way, I plan to be a premiere, so I will be in the chat at the time it's going out, and I will answer in the chat. So that's that. Plans. I've got an interview to do with Sander van der Steur of May 40, Mr. May 40 himself, to do. I was going to do it after the show, but we were both, I think we were all the people that were left behind to put put away were absolutely shattered. I was dead on my legs. There was a lot of taking down to do. Sander's got a very, very nice trade stand, but it's quite complicated and not exactly and requires a lot of work to put it back. and sort out, and then he goes home with it and sorts it out and puts stock back where it lives. My organisation brain was working on lighter weight options and solutions for stuff, but I won't, you know, I'm a sort of an efficiency bod, but it got put away. It took about 3 hours to put everything back in the van and trailer, and then I got a very nice lift, a lift to Antwerp. And that was the end of my crisis. The other bag, which I will be doing another video on, is sitting in the workshop downstairs, where I have taken pictures. It will be in a teaser and it will look boring, but it's much, much more exciting than that, trust me. It's very exciting. And again, I will be staring at it and wondering what on earth various things are, because it's because the packaging is a bit minimalist at the stage. They're all in little plastic bags, and it's a question of working out what's in the little plastic bags. A bit like playing Essex, refilling Essex models at Essex boxes at Spirit back in the day, where you would be staring at this and guessing, because and writing the code on it, because if you were lucky, if you're really lucky, Essex Miniatures hadn't written the code on it, and you got random ancient javelin men or whatever, and you had to work out what they were and peer it. Yeah, that was jolly fun. So I'm going to be going through a funner version of that with 28mm figures. 28mm figures being easier to identify than 15s, and all God help them. 6mm Heroics and Ross. H&R 6mm are smaller than most of the 6mm you see flying around today, and required a level of expertise that I don't have, but fortunately we had on staff. My evil twin Steve, and he's very definitely my evil twin, because he used to pull my beard, and if I was the evil twin, I would be pulling his. The Spirit Games mail order troll back in the day. So, coming up, I've got some commission work residual commission work to do. I've got lots of tidying up to do because this place is a tip again. I've got some lighting experiments to play with the new overhead light, and I've got to talk to my editor about things like slideshows, and because I want to do a slideshow for YouTube, which is just going to be pictures that I took on my camera. There's about 50 or 60 of them from Antwerp. There's a few other bits and pieces which are off the show, like the hotel and stuff like that, which need to go on my personal timeline, because you really don't need to see the inside of a basic bedroom in a two-star hotel in the centre of Antwerp. As I say, I quite like the hotel. It wasn't flashy, it did the job, and having spent all Sunday sitting there reading Baron's War and What a Tanker, it was a nice quiet place to do a bit of reading. I also acquired one of these, which is a tablet. I took it with me. I was going to take photographs on it. Then it occurred to me that I didn't know how to get the photographs off this without, and I wasn't sure whether the charging cable would work as a data cable. Turns out it won't work as a data cable. I've subsequently tried it, and also for reasons that I couldn't work out, it refused to go online in Antwerp. It refused to use the free hotel Wi-Fi when I was trying to get hold of my bank because of the bank card issues, and it has subsequently refused to connect even to the phone company, so I can actually add some credit to it or register the phone number as mine. So I am not entirely sure what's to do with this one, but theoretically it'll be useful, and it would be nice to be taking to shows, and it's quite a big format for rule books and stuff like that on PDF. But again, getting information on and off it is going to be interesting, because the only short way I know to do that involves taking a micro SD card in and out, and I'm not good with micro SD cards. I have in the past launched them into the distance, because as the more techie people are probably aware, most of those holders are spring loaded, so you gently push them and then they pop out a tiny bit and then you pull them out. Well, I gently pushed mine and took my thumb away and it went twang. And somewhere in, I think it was in the bedroom. Anyway, well, somewhere in the house, there is a SD card from my adventure camera, which was a bit of a tactical error in that I never managed to get it to work properly. But this sort of works. It works and it's picking up messages and making noises, but I'm entirely not sure what the hell's going on with it, and I can't download apps and it won't go to the app stores. But again, more techie stuff for me to work on. I did a bit of work on that on the Sunday, mostly because it kept making noises at me, which meant it was connected somehow at the hotel, but hasn't been subsequently. Anyway, there might have been over half an hour of me, you poor people, and I might be drawing this towards an end. I'm going to have a standard end point that my lovely editor can pop on the all of the videos, as well as a standard intro, so I don't have to remember doing that, and I can get hit to the chase and talk about the new stuff rather than be repeating myself all the time. But I think for now, please subscribe, please like this thing, and please pass it on to anybody that you think would be vaguely interested in this sort of waffle. And bear in mind that this is the beginning of a YouTube channel, not hang on, I don't know who that was, and I'm not answering the phone whilst I'm on air. Anyway, I think that's enough from me for now, and I will speak to you later. Almost certainly there will be a video on what's in the other bag, and there will be hopefully a slideshow if I can work out how to do that. All right. And I'll leave that there. Everybody, have a great time. Sorry about the phone noises. Don't know who they're from. I really need to turn off private numbers because I can't ring them back anyway. Anyway, that's enough from me for now. Take care, everybody, and goodbye. And I'm ending the video. Bye.